Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to your favorite Sunday evening podcast, the Bama Standard post-game show with Justin Riley and the living legend who carries the program, the Coach Smook.
What's up, man? Roll Tide, bro.
Roll Tide got that sweet tooth taken care of yesterday to the tune of 45-20.
Yes, sir.
Before we jump into all of it, because we got a lot to unpack, folks, hit that like and subscribe button. If you're here live, get in the live chat. Let us know how you feel. You know, we're going to be talking back and forth. We make you part of the show. You're like our third guest. If you're watching a replay, jump in the comments. Let us know what you think. As always, we are brought to you by Workspace Solutions and Oakmont Financial Properties. They kind of pay the bills around here, as do you guys. Well, the bills of gratification, because you give us the courage and the want to jump on here each and every week. But Coach Smook, can't be happier with the outcome of yesterday. I think that we showed the nation that we are still indeed Alabama. We have gone nowhere. It took us a while to wake up and show the nation who we were, but if you're going to do it, let it be in the grand finale of the 2022 season.
Right. And I mean, like, what better way to end the actual year, you know? You think back to January of this year, we came in with so much hype for this year's team. Expectations were very high, being that we made it to the national championship the previous year. And we didn't quite get there, but we sure ended on a high note. And I said that this game would have a Utah State game type feel, but I think the way the guys came out and kind of shook the rust off early in the first quarter and woke up, middle of the second quarter. I feel like that's how Bama ball was played. We never, we were just overly talented compared to the other team. We never jumped out and just smashed teams. We always kind of just willed them to death, early in the game, and then it kind of separated in. So it felt like old Bama, watching the old Bama game, especially when the defense was able to force turnovers and create pressure. That was a big thing for me, just the defense, how they were flying around. I would love to see Campbell and Murphy get some more snaps with Lawson, being that's going to be the look that we're going to see next year. But overall, I was satisfied.
And one of the things that is the biggest takeaway, not only did Will Anderson and Bryce Young finish their career in terms of stats on a very high note, but they finished healthy. A lot of people were criticizing their decision to play in this game because of what their future looks like. Right now, both are projected top 5 picks. Some boards have Bryce, some boards have Will going at number 1. So they were receiving some criticism going into this game, but it's not about the NFL to these guys. And they spoke volumes to their team in terms of leadership and brotherhood by electing to play in this game. Now, would I have faulted them for not playing? No, and I'm sure you wouldn't have either.
Right.
But they decided to play. They decided to finish what they started, and they did in a big way. So let's kind of jump right into it. Talk about the game. I thought going into the game that we had a huge advantage in several areas. One of the areas being in the trenches. After all, Kansas State was giving up 6 yards per carry in terms of rushing. Their defense was. And then on the offense side of the ball, they were ranked 119th for quarterback pressures allowed. So you got to think we're going to have our way with them, especially with Mr. Anderson, Dallas Turner, and especially, Chris Braswell. But didn't start off that way at all. Didn't start off that way at all. Matter of fact, Kansas State was coming out on fire, hair on fire. Intensity was there. They were winning the battle in the trenches. And then offensively, we just were sputtering around. And I know you were thinking, as I was thinking, same old Bill O'Brien. This is what we get, and this is how we're going to send our boys out. And all of a sudden, we found ourselves down 10-0, courtesy of an 88-yard touchdown run by Deuce Vaughn.
Yeah.
Then the very next series, we were looking at a 3-and-out. we were making
Mhm.
mistakes. We found ourselves in a 3rd and long, and then that's when things started to turn in our favor. Bryce Young connects with Jahmyr Gibbs on a shallow crossing route, 59 yards. We're moving down the field, cap it off with a great throw to Isaiah Bond. Hard to believe that was Isaiah Bond's first touchdown of the year. Got in the back of the end zone. We're starting to find our groove. Then next series, our boy Jermaine Burton, the guy we
Yeah.
criticized heavily the entire year, has a 47-yard grab, sets down a Cameron Latu touchdown in the corner. The pylon that is.
Right.
We're starting to feel good. We take the lead for the first time. What happens on the next series? Kansas State drives the length of the field. However, we stop them on 4th down.
Yep.
Most people would say that time as we're nearing the end of the half, maybe kneel it down, play it safe. We're getting the ball back in the second half. Coach Saban didn't do that at all. 55 seconds left in the first half. We start moving the ball. Jahmyr
And
Gibbs is doing his thing.
yeah, you
And
see what started that. The ground game started that. I believe if we have a negative run play on that play, we go walk in that half, we kneel it, play it safe. But that the run game, like we've been trying to say all year, you give it a chance. They show up every time. You get a run game a chance, they show up. They got to get reps, man.
they do. And hey, Kansas State was trying to help our calls out. They were calling timeouts. They were
Right.
using their timeouts. We're trying to run 2-minute drill to get down the field to do something. They're giving us more time on the clock. And the worst thing the opposition can do is give Saban time. And
Hmm.
what happens, Coach? They find our boy Jermaine Burton in the end zone for was probably one of the most alpha touchdown grabs of the year. And I felt like that's really where things started to unravel for Kansas State. We hurt them. They hurt their pride going into the half. We're up, 21-10. We're rolling. So that first half, what did you see? What stood out in your mind? Where I'm sure you were a little frustrated, as was I, to start things out. But break it down for us.
I wasn't necessarily frustrated, man. I the expectation of what I knew was happening would happen, especially with Bill O'Brien. Um, and I think his leash was shortened a lot this game, with filling out the defense and trying to get them to give us what looks they would give us. A lot of times your first drive, you want to be able to move the chains at least 2 or 3 times in your first drive and come out with a great sense of, excuse me, of how the defense is going to react to what you're calling, or even if it's just um are they going to give us a what I predicted look, or are they going to give us something I haven't seen based off of film look. And I feel like a lot of times Bill O'Brien wastes so much time in the first half doing that, man.
Mm-hmm.
That by the time it's time to start exposing things, like some offensive coordinators like to do, gradually expose different, aspects of a defense. It's kind of like we're in crunch time, or the game is still too close because we aren't efficient enough on the ground. So I feel like the run game was a big thing, even though it wasn't dominant. It created a look. We got, because of the few big plays that it created, that it allowed to happen, especially with Bryce Young, extending the pocket, extending the run game by with the read option, extending it by moving the pocket, and creating, allowing things to create downfield, develop downfield. That helped us a lot, man. So shout out to Bryce and the O line for staying composed, and the running backs for just sticking it out, man. Jace
Mm-hmm.
and Jahmyr, even Roydell, man. Roydell coming in on special teams, and I think he had a key block on one of those passes too, if I'm not mistaken. He was in for um the deep ball to the pass to Prentice, to Kobe Prentice. But that was second half. I'm jumping ahead of
Yeah.
myself. But yeah, but yeah, man, it was one of those things where you finally got to see a little bit of intensity from the get-go. Cause we just I believe we were really just rusty, first quarter. And then as the second quarter started, after after we gave up the big run to Deuce Vaughn, which was a complete, effort play. I feel like Kool-Aid came from the other side of the field and got hands on the guy. Where was our safety? Where was the linebacker that really just opened the hole up? Even Eli Ricks got held up and was pushing it to make a play. So we saw some heart, main thing, but for the for the for the most part, man, it was what I expected. And like I told y'all last week the before we even kicked off, this game it would seem close early because of the time away from it. But whoever gets out of character first, that's who will probably lose. In Kansas State, when they started rolling that safety down to try to shut the run game down completely, that's when we were be able to expose them in the pass game and extended pass game, extended run game, and it worked to our advantage. So and defensively, I feel like defense played solid the whole game. It was one of those things where we were given exactly what we were expected. It was just you had to make small adjustments as far as alignment. Alignment helped us this game, and just keys because Kansas State didn't get away from what they did offensively. And when we forced them to put the ball in the air, that's not the type of team that they want to be. So we did exactly what we need to do on defense.
Yeah, in terms of defense, yeah, we played pretty well, but early on, one of the things that was kind of frustrating to watch was how we were giving them so much cushion. We were allowing
Hmm.
Malik Knowles and allowing Cade Warner to just do what they want and have as much space as possible. And then we actually did something we don't typically do. We made adjustments.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it starts to shut things down. And then a name that appeared quite often throughout the entire game started to get pissed off, and that was Brian Branch. I feel like
Ka.
this was the Brian Branch Invitational or the Brian Branch Pro Day
Yeah.
because this man had a day, and it was the entire game. Didn't let up, but it had several key plays in that first half that really felt like lit a spark for that defense.
Yeah, man. And my X factor on every show I participated in, every show I called into, I said it. Brian Branch has been the most consistent player this year for us. He's actually been the energy, the consistent. This is who we can count on to do his assignment. If he gets B, is not because he literally getting B is got to be something, a slip, cramp, something. Because he's that guy, and for him to go out and lead like he did, you know, uh, he was putting more pressure on the quarterback than our edge rushers,
It was.
and that's something that you can find um far and near in college football or any level. A defensive back that could really get in the box and be effective on run game and pass game and affect it. Um, your blitzing, the style of blitzing you can do because now you can kind of sit him on the run blitzes and he's the seventh or the eighth guy, that can pull off and still cover if he sees it because he has the recognition skills. So it was good to see that defense flying around though. I'm glad that K State didn't continue to run up the middle because they could have had they possibly could have had an advantage if they had kept running in the middle.
Mhm.
Um, but Lawson also played big too, man. You seen him directing traffic and getting on the toe for missing run fits, and it was one of those things where I seen some positive things that hopefully if they translate into the offseason, man, we got some good energy coming back for the offseason because um the guys just look like they knew what they were doing for the first time this whole season. Well, I would say since you know probably since the Ole Miss game, our defenses look like they know what they're doing.
Right,
Um,
right.
Second half of Ole Miss game, and I hate that it had to take that long, but if this is what we have to look forward to, especially with the defensive front, Otis Burrows, Perry was getting heavy snaps. It was a good thing to see, man.
Otis was clearing people out. One
2 and
man
3
wrecking
blocks,
crew.
man. It was crazy. It was crazy. This man is Quentin Williams on steroids, man. It's I mean,
Yeah.
like his hands, bro. He's just so strong, and the way he doesn't mind just creating havoc.
Mhm.
Creating. creating space for his guys on the second level or the edges to crash down on stuff is amazing. And he runs down plays from behind as one of the biggest
I
players
love
on the
that.
field. I love that, man.
And I wanted to kind of address this question from the audience a little bit later, but since Jimmy Wilhelm has so kindly paid to ask this question, we are going to allow it to be asked. Thoughts on Bill O'Brien and Golden's comments on their future? What do you think? I honestly think that based on the way that Pete Golden, first of all, talked, he's not going anywhere. He's coming back for another year. I'm not particularly in favor of it just based on what I've seen. I think that we have too much talent coming in with this freshman class to be ruined by him. Now,
Mm.
that I'm just going to say that as far as Bill O'Brien, didn't really get a whole lot from him. I kind of how much would I put it on it? I'm probably 80% sure he's out the door. But Mike McCoy yesterday kind of had me thinking differently. We've seen in the past or this past year in the offseason that his name was linked to a few jobs only to have nothing happen whatsoever. But now he's being mentioned for the Patriots job. I just don't know. I don't know if Coach Saban pulls the trigger. Should he pull the trigger? Absolutely. But will he? I'm on the fence. Coach, what are
Um,
your thoughts?
I'm with you, man. I've been saying it about Pete Golden. I feel like Pete Golden is something that we could manage until somebody we actually want and need that can possibly be the next head coach. Because I feel like the next head coach is going to definitely come from a defensive minded head coach. I think that's something that Alabama alumni, boosters, and the program in itself has bought into. Bringing in defensive minded coaches and allowing them to. Yeah, well, Saban has kind of set that in order for us, and he set that blueprint. So I'm thinking the next defensive coordinator hire is going to be our next head coach, and y'all could book me on that. But Bill O'Brien definitely has to go. That's just not a fit for us. Talent has really kept his job. Having talented guys across the field, experience last year with Mechie, William, J-Mo, um, Slade, like all those guys. That was last year, Slade and all them.
That was last year.
Yeah, Slade was last year. But yeah, having that type of energy across the offense and the experience on the O line and um, you know, yeah, the running back room got depleted because of injuries, but you had a stable to start the year. It's like you had all the talent you needed to be successful. And last year we saw signs and things that he could not do. We literally just could run past guys because of JMO and Mechie and Bryce's chemistry. The two would make great plays every now and then. Brooks would come in and make a play every now and then. We didn't get to see much of JoJo, young JoJo. It was like personnel rotation was still an issue. And we haven't seen this in a while. So if Bill O'Brien has control over that, if that's how Saban delegates authority as far as personnel rotation, he delegates it to the office coordinator to delegate it to whoever he wants to. And if Bill O'Brien is in charge of personnel for our offense, that's where my issue begins. And then just scheme and the inability to create mismatches. He did it yesterday though. He took Jermaine
Yesterday.
Burton and put him on the inside and had him lined up against safeties who could not press him because of alignment. He created formations, put formations out there to force an alignment, put a guy against create an advantage by creating a mismatch. And Burton on free release is a good receiver. We're not gonna sit here and say he's garbage. Like he just can't get off of pressure. He can't get off of bump and run. He can't create his own space. But you give him space, on a free release by lining safety, 9 to 11 yards off of him and no contact on his route. Yeah, he gonna open that stride up and stretch the field a little bit. He gonna cross the field on you, and we know how that can look. Because that's the only time he looked effective at Georgia when he had the free releases. So, um, dang, took you all the way to the 13th game of the year to figure that out, Bill. Like Kobe Prentice, Isaiah Bonds. You have all these speedsters that can do what you want Burton to do. They are able to do it, and they showed you last night. Took you 13 games to figure it out. Took guys leaving in the transfer portal and not having to take up reps for you to figure it out. So yeah, Bill got to go, man. Bill has to go.
Yeah, I'm looking at his inability to adapt to personnel. It's like he will only operate within a set skill set. He cannot adapt to Jalen Milroe. You need a guy that is going to be able to adapt to whoever you have in there. You're going to need a guy who's going to be able to scheme and use their abilities and their skill sets to the offense's advantage. He's clearly locked into Ty Simpson, and he's going to develop him. If you watched closely when Ty Simpson was in, the offense dramatically changed. Things were a lot different. When Jalen Milroe was in there, complete garbage time, disaster, because Bill O'Brien cannot adapt to different players. I'm
Right.
sorry. If you're an offensive coordinator, you got to be able to make decisions and changes based on who you have, not who you think you should have. And I feel
Right.
like we're at a major detriment if we keep Bill O'Brien on staff because, no slight to Ty Simpson, but what if Ty Simpson can't go? What if something goes wrong? And you got another quarterback in there who doesn't fit within your idea of what a quarterback should be. What are you going to do? Well, we saw in the Texas A&M game, signs likely point to yes.
Yeah.
But as far as transfer portal, this kind of plays into this question here. Guess all those energy vampires hitting the bricks work wonders for the team. Coach Saban mentioned it before the game that the energy vampires were gone. The blinking lights were gone. Those distractions were no
Right.
longer in the locker room. And I felt like that was a huge contributor to our success yesterday.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You could tell, and it's sad that it had to happen with guys that we were expecting so much from. I saw fans going back and forth kind of with Trayshawn Holding on Twitter, and that what they were saying wasn't a lie. I hate that. Excuse me. I hate that these kids are put in this light, and they're so social media driven that they go to social media to take little slight shots and stuff like that. You could kind of read between the lines with a lot of those players that left. But from the looks of it, it looks as if things weren't going as good as we thought they were. With guys like JoJo Earl, Trayshawn Holden, Christian Leary. Like things are surfacing about these guys, and to me, I think that just speaks to the leadership of that leadership group. Yeah, it's not something we used to or something that we like, but from the outside looking in, we may have a point of view, but they know what's really going on in there. They know what's really going on there. Coach Saban knows what's really going on in that locker room. And I think the necessary changes are going to be made. I feel like that's why there wasn't so much back and forth with the media, Coach Saban with the media these last couple of weeks, because it's like he knows there's a standard that needs to be reset, and I feel like he's already re-implementing. This is going to be a university where you got to come to compete. Ain't no handouts, ain't none of that soft baby stuff. We getting this thing back to the standard, and it showed, man. It showed, like, even with the sideline intensity, from the second quarter on throughout the game, it was different, man. You could see guys on the
Mm-hmm.
sideline actually engaged in the game. Sean Murphy, I gotta point it out because that guy has a lot of energy. And if his energy like that transpires to the field, which I believe it does, he was very anxious out there. The snaps that he got, he was very anxious. But him and Campbell, they look good out there. But Murphy, if that energy that he has on the sideline could translate to the field, and it'd be effective, not just somebody out there that's sporadic, but somebody that could really bust some heads and want to fill holes. That our inside issues are solved, just based off of the small bit that we seen when those guys got in. And then you look at, like you said, man, it's just these guys don't respond to Bill O'Brien. They don't
No.
respond to him. Even when they was showing the warm-ups, um, and he was out there trying to talk to guys like, I had the sense that guys were like, man, that's just he's out of here anyways. That's how they were addressing him. That's how
Yep.
they were walking by him. Like he trying to act like he a motivational coach. Man, I ain't seen a clip you clapping or yelling, none of that. You want to wait to the New Year's Six bowl game to act like you want to be motivated and energized, man. Get out of here, bro. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
No.
yeah, that stuff already packed. The boxes are taped up, and let's get you on out of here, man.
Shout out to Young Man of Steel for the $1.99 super sticker. We greatly appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
But listen, let's go ahead and jump to the second half. Of course, we go into the locker room feeling really good, obviously. So, and I felt like we really started the process of breaking their will. And I felt like with having the ball back in the second half, that would allow us to further that along. And little did we know, Kansas State was going to give us a gift. Now, was it out of desperation by Chris Kleiman? Not sure. Or was it him just being aggressive, just trying to get the ball back and, you know, get his team motivated and get back into the game? I don't know. But we were given a gift. And right after we were given that onside kick, one of the best passes I've seen all season tossed to Ja'Cory Brooks.
Mm-hmm.
That was the most beautiful thing. I have yet to see a college quarterback, at least this year, had the type of touch that Bryce Young has. A just excellent throw and just drops it in at the right moment. He has this connection, I feel like, with Ja'Cory Brooks that he doesn't really have with others. And man, when those two things connect, what we saw in the back of that end zone happens. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. And I want to say I feel like Bryce cheated himself a lot this year by not throwing guys open. Those passes that he was able to complete last night, it wasn't because of a great difference in protection. It wasn't because of the defense playing some basic alignment or anything like that. It was literally him throwing guys open, throwing it to a spot. It looked like guys were running to spots, when the offense was moving and clicking. Um, and that pass to Brooks was an exact example of it. Brooks broke his route off, way early, but Bryce put enough touch on it, and he was able to adjust to it. And you run the right route, it looks better. Honestly, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you caught it; it was a nice catch. But if you run the right route at the right depth and make the right break, you know, it was kind of like when Bryce let it go. Brooks knew, okay, this I guess I'm here. Bryce kind of directed things, and I
Yeah.
felt like that he had control, a lot more control over what was happening too, as far as the reads, because Bryce made a lot of short reads, short to mid reads, this game too. I feel like once they keyed off of came off of Burton as the primary, that opened up the offense too. And everybody knows I'm not a big Jermaine Burton fan, but him being your second or third option is a lot better because he does get open late on a lot of things. He gets open late, especially when he has press coverage. Anytime he's on the outside, he gets open late. And we also saw Kobe Prentice, man. Kobe
Yeah.
Prentice and Kendrick Law put in work with their routes yesterday. And did some things that I believe we've been overlooking because of the lack of consistency with our offense. But those two guys did some things, and Robbie Oops, man.
I like him.
I
Unsung hero.
That's what I'm saying. And if this guy doesn't get a fair opportunity to be tight end one A, one B, even with the transfer from Maryland coming in, that's a problem with me because I believe Knee Black is going to be used primarily for our passing game, stretch the passing game with a bigger body. But
Yeah.
and Elijah Brown also. I think that's the other tight end. He hasn't been getting a lot of talk, but he's the stature of that type of tight end and athleticism that he displayed even coming in as a freshman. I feel like he can make a push. But Robbie Oots, is a Swiss Army knife. I feel like he can give you some good run block game from the backfield on the line, split off in the slot. Um, he's got sneaky speed for his size, and
He
he's a
really does.
physical runner.
Athleticism too.
Yes, a basketball player.
He's
So,
he's a nice little check down option too at times.
oh yeah, a big old bowling ball, man, like a like a wrecking ball. He just out there to create havoc. And like when we was talking with Joustin earlier in the week, um, that's the type of you need at least one or two of those guys on offense, um, every year in the Alabama offense for your run game. Your tight end can be a decent blocker when you got a guy like that coming out the backfield, you know, to follow it up. So Robbie Oots was definitely a big factor, and Tyler Booker played his tail off. He was
Yeah, he
getting
did.
beat early, but he ended up
He settled
showing out.
in.
He showed out, man.
He did. The offensive line and the offense in the second half got that swagger. They started dictating the game. They started telling Kansas State, "Okay, we're about to move this ball on you, and we don't care if you don't like it." And they did. We started pouring it on right
Right.
after that beautiful pass to Corey Brooks. My guy Jace McClellan got in on the action very next series. Love what he's doing, and I hope he comes back next year. And I hope we are able to do some more things with him. It all depends on what the coordinator situation looks like. But, Jahmyr Gibbs was absolutely phenomenal yesterday. Kind of crazy to think he didn't get in the end zone, but he created opportunities for the offense to go down the field and get in the end zone. So hats off to him. But also another guy that maybe didn't get a whole lot of credit, but he balled out yesterday. That's Canla too. Came
Mm.
up and big with big plays at pivotal parts of the game. Of course, that touchdown pass he had in the first half, but second half just started kind of erupting in a
Hmm.
way and just started taking over. And there was confidence about him. And another thing that I really liked was when he was fighting for extra yards, he held on to the ball.
Held on to the ball. Lord Jesus. Man,
I get
even
nervous whenever he's fighting for
every
that
time,
extra.
every time the two do that, he fighting for extra. I'm gonna start hold that ball. I'm yelling at the TV, hold that ball. So it was great to see that. But another thing also, man, I think we saw Bryce do was uh force the issue with his legs a little bit more. He didn't I don't think Bryce, I think he took that one sack um early third quarter.
Yeah, held onto the ball too long.
Yeah, and that was probably the only bad one throughout the night because um for the most part he was having that ball out in 4 seconds, and then when he did extend plays, he was more so pressing the line instead of that side to side create
Yeah,
space. Now it was one time he did have a 3-man rush where he went side to side, but you got a 3-man rush, you can do that. But you breaking out, you see that 5-man pressure. There's no need to go side to side. You need to press the line and see what you got downfield. And he did that. He did that even in the game even in the third quarter, when the game was pretty much in hand, and it was 3rd and 7, I believe, 3rd and 6 or something like that. And he broke for the first down run. Pressing the line. They sent the blitz. We got Kansas State out of character early defensively, and that helped us because now is 5-on-3, 5-on-4 as far as coverage, and you
right.
can win those matches a lot of times instead of trying to win 6 defenders on 3 receivers, 6 defenders on 4 receivers. So you win those, you can create mismatches, and you can kind of have guys open themselves up when they're only having to deal with 1.5 or just one man covering them or passing them off. So it worked out to our advantage getting those guys out of characteristic early.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing that I felt was so important going into the half and then coming out of the half was putting this team away early because they're that blue collar team. If you let them
Hmm.
hang around, they're going to fight, and their confidence would only grow. We didn't allow that to happen. Like I said, we took over, we dictated the flow of the game. We told Kansas State no more. I mean, we gave up that late garbage time touchdown, but as far as a defensive unit, we stopped them outside of that one incredible run by Deuce Vaughn. He was held in check. I don't think we saw him again I'll be pressed to say we didn't see him again the rest of the game.
Yeah. The only thing was giving us problems for it was the tight end. To me,
Yeah,
their mid pass game with the tight end and the leaks from the backfield. That's something. But if you look at the game, you already know who they going at when they attack those type of things. And it was Henry Toa can't cover. Henry Toa doesn't want to. Even when the running back slipped from the backfield, man, that was a horrible play. Like Toa took himself out of position. Um, if you're even if you was the spy, even if the running back was your matchup, why are you shading outside of the hashes? You're the Mike linebacker. Why are you shading outside of the hashes? He didn't align outside of the hashes. Like, why are you shading outside of the hashes when you? I'm guarantee your first responsibility is the inside read. So
hey,
it was
what do you think
kind of
about hugging Henry, completely missing that tight end down the sideline? And the only reason it wasn't a successful play was because the tight end dropped the ball.
dropped the ball and he
And
celebrated,
Henry's celebrating like he has something to do with it. I'm like, bruh,
bro.
stop.
And that's the thing, man. That's I think that's what bothers me the most is this guy. And I'm like Uncle Marvin on this one. I'm like Uncle Marvin. Somebody in that locker room should have been checked soft Henry hugging Henry. Like somebody should have checked him, bro. Stop doing all that. Celebrate. You out here, you missing tackles. You missing more tackles than you making. You jumping on top of piles, about to injure your own teammates. Late hits. I don't how many how I know he's had at least 5, 6 late hit penalties trying to hit a guy that's already down or that's already wrapped up, whistle already blown, he coming in late, trying to put a hit on somebody, a cheap shot. Like, bro, stop. You're not that guy. Just enjoy this game. Enjoy being surrounded by talented guys that can kind of hide your lack thereof, and go on to being a great coach. Somebody said, I think one of the announcers said it. That Henry Toa his aspiration was to be a
Coach.
football coach. I could see that. If he's smart, guy, he seems like a smart guy, but physically and what the game demands as a linebacker, you're not there, man. And he might just end up being a good DB coach. He might be a good, you know, I don't know. I don't know what he could coach. Most guys can coach better than they could play, though. I was one of those guys. I feel like I could coach better than I could play. So it might, but I wasn't soft. I tell you that I wasn't soft. I used to get in trouble for putting my hat in the hole too much. So pause.
Dexter Wright, I'm still riding high off the fact that we had 2 turnovers. Yeah, me too. Had one from Brian Branch, had one from Jordan Battle. So, hey, I'm excited about that. Nothing I was excited about how we were running corner and safety blitzes yesterday. That was awesome. Brian Branch, of course, had his. Then Malachi Moore off the edge, chased down that quarterback, and huge play. Love
Mm.
that Malachi made that play. Even better that Malachi has announced his decision to come back next year. If he's healthy, you got to think
We don't lose
it,
nothing. We don't lose
we don't
nothing.
lose it. We might probably gain a little bit more, but also we have a Thorpe Award finalist, or if
Right.
not winner. So I'd have to point out something yesterday. Maybe you caught it when the announcers were rambling on. They made a lot of beautiful points, by the way. One of those was how astounded they were that spending time in bowl preparation, that how hands-on Nick Saban was with the defense this week.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Saban for the most part has been the CEO where he's just delegated and allowed Pete Golden to really do his thing. But because of what we have seen in terms of a defense as of late, this I feel like forced Coach Saban to have his imprint on everything in this game. And you could see a decisive difference in the way we performed, especially when we got out of that that soft zone and give him too much cushion.
He yelled at because I remember one play, man. Um, Branch. It was he was aligned at the sticks. It was like a 2nd and 8 or something like that. His depth was behind the sticks, and the corner on the outside was walked up tight, and the the number one receiver, which was the outside receiver, released the inside. the inside receiver released outside. The corner didn't pick up off of the inside release, and the outside receiver, the number one receiver, when he released inside, there was nothing but space. So he slick could have got me personally as a coordinator. If I'm getting that type of cushion, I'm checking off of my whatever my outside receiver's route was. He got an inside release. I'm hitting him on the quick slant in that open space every time until they adjust. I know the linebacker is not going to stand up and look for the quick. I know Tua is not trying to roll over to that. It's because he's always aligns on the strong side. I know he's not going to roll over and try to take, put pressure on the passing lane. So I'm surprised that Kansas State didn't do that earlier. They were sticking with what they had, but after the play where the comeback route on Branch, we saw the nickel corner. Whenever the dime corner came in for those sets, we saw them walk closer. It was within 7 yards. Within 7 yards, it went from a 9 to 12-yard cushion to a 7-yard cushion. And your corners bump and run on the outside. You got Kool-Aid and Eli in their bag right now. Like, let them boys be athletes. Let them boys be corners. Kool-Aid looked like a corner yesterday. And if this is Kool-Aid we're going to see leading this defensive back group, this cornerback group next year, we in for a treat. And then I think people forgetting Eli Ricks can come back next year.
He can, and expect to hear his decision probably within the next few days, if not
Me personally, I because of how excited I am about what's coming in with this 23 class and what we already have lying in wait and Earl Little Jr., who I feel like can push for a spot right now with what we have. I wouldn't mind Ricks going. I wouldn't mind Branch leaving. We know that the safeties positions are going to be open, and Caleb Downs is going to have one of those on lock. True
Yeah.
freshman coming in. So I'm Christian Story is up next, hopefully. Or does Smitty get his chance? We know Malachi Moore is the next star. If star guy, if he can't stay healthy, does it open it up for Jaleel Hurley, or does Tony Mitchell come in and play the next star, or does Caleb Downs get the next star position and Malachi Moore play over top? What are we talking about next year with this defensive back group? Because it's a lot of talent sitting in there waiting.
Yeah, it is. And I honestly think that Eli Ricks needs another year, a full healthy year, to have some more good tape for the NFL. But then again, the NFL doesn't really go on tape; they go on possibilities.
Yeah,
As
and I
Will
think,
Levis, for example, Will Levis right now is being pushed as a possible number one pick over Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud. What planet, guys? But hey,
and he's a good quarterback. He's just not C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young. Like, he doesn't on no level does he outdo them. He's not
yeah,
faster. Will Levis is not stronger. As far as arm talent, he's not stronger. His arm isn't stronger. His IQ isn't better. We saw C.J. Stroud shred UGA last night. I'm talking about the whole night without his number one running back, and then the other the second one was Gimp. And then he lost his new number one receiver in Marvin Harrison Jr. So, like, I don't see what these draft stock people see, but with Ricks, that guy, he proved his freshman year what he had.
yeah,
Injuries held him up this year from being the starter, and I think a little bit of ego, but I don't think he has nothing else to prove, man. Defensive back is one of those positions where if you're getting any type of look or talk for first round or early second round, and a talent like Ricks, I think he takes it, man, and he does good at the next level. DB's last in the league. DB's last, just like it's a new league. It used to be running backs and quarterbacks, but now DBs are really they're lasting. They're being rotated through these different organizations, and guys are getting chances. It's just one of those things, man. If you got it now, Ricks has it now. Ricks has it now. Yeah, it would be great to have more film, but he has it. He has it.
yeah. And if he goes, so be it.
Yeah.
Earl Little Jr., I feel like is going to be the next guy, and then move our guy Terrion Arnold to safety where he needs to be playing. Which
I
we'll
think
get into
he's the
that.
one. He's the odd man out, bro. Honestly, I feel like he
Okay.
coming up. I feel like he's the odd man out, because there's no. I don't think there's room in the safety room, for Arnold right now.
Hey man, it's
And
time to go to work. Earn it.
Right.
Take it.
He
Hey,
got to.
listen.
That's what I'm saying. If that's the only way he gets on the field next year, because I don't believe, and Arnold's a great guy too. You know, he's smart. He's not a cover corner. He's not a cover corner, and I don't know if it was his decision to stay at corner because I know he came to Bama as a safety, right?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, so I
And
don't
we'll get
know.
into that in the off season because we're going to
Yeah.
need content as we greatly await the return of next season. But hey, listen, we got a lot to talk about in the off season because we still got signing day, we still have spring, we still have the NFL draft, pro day, senior bowl, a lot of good things to tide us over. And I'm sure we're going to have a lot of good things coming our way. But yes, Alabama does win 45-20, finish the season the right way. I want to pose this question to you. I'll get your MVPs at the end, as we always do.
Mm-hmm.
But who do you feel yesterday made money out of these draft eligible players? Obviously, for me, it's Brian Branch.
Yeah.
Skyrocketed his stock. He went from borderline first round guy, maybe mid first round guy, to solid lock for the first round. I feel
Mhm.
like that he did that yesterday. But who made money?
Um, I think Jordan Battle made money yesterday. And I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay.
Because his physicality, I don't think Jordan Battle plays free safety at the next level. I think he gets a Derwin James type role. Um, because he can cover, but he's better at being run support from that level and having range to cover a tight end. Um, also, I think Young, defensive lineman.
Byron Young.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think
He doesn't get enough praise. I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there. No one on the defensive line on the later part of college football this season had a better performance.
right,
Byron
and
Young showed out.
he did. And yesterday, um, I didn't see any drop off when he
Mm-mm.
came in the game because I don't think people realize Burrows and Otis were the anchors for the D line yesterday. Burrows, Otis, Smith was getting a lot of snaps. We didn't see a lot of DJ Dale, but when he got in and spot played, like I've been saying all year, he's a great spot D tackle. He got
Right.
in and he did what he had to do. You know,
Get a penalty.
well, not the first.
I'm just
That was
kidding.
one. You get one deal. Yeah, and he had every right to. If you go back and look at the replay, the guy was twitching like he was ready to go. So
Yeah.
DJ Dell trying to get some film. I could understand your eagerness. You ain't played it. You really was being spared all year. You know, not being replaced by Otis full time. But yeah, I feel like Young, Brent solidified himself and gave us more reason why we should might as well just go ahead and let him go and let him go be great at the next level because he's ready. He looks so much like Xavier McKinney, bro.
Yeah.
These last 4 weeks, man, of the season and leading up to this game, he's just looked like he's been at a next level with being in spots and just creating havoc and his physicality at the point of attack, his ability to track down players, you know, run down the play from behind. Um, I mean, everything you want in that guy in that position, he did it. So, yeah, that's I'm right there with you. And I think Jace McClellan too. I think him being able to run strong. If he does
Ye
go,
I don't foresee him going. I wouldn't be
if he does,
shocked, but I would love. I want him for selfish reasons to come back.
me too, me too. I want him to be feature back one, like nobody
Yes,
else.
and
No sharing
he's
in.
truly allowed to do his thing, and we have a coordinator who can utilize his talents.
Yeah, and I believe Jason Roydell leaving the running back room with Miller as the spellback and allowing Young and Justice Haynes to get loose a little bit. Because I think Emmanuel Henderson even solidified himself as a slot receiver. This
Yeah,
guy, he got in yesterday. I don't think people realize that this guy is funny. Emmanuel Henderson goes out there. He you'll see him doing like moves on the DB for no reason. Rain play, he releasing like he running the bang eight or something, you know, inside hard release and trying to and you see him out there just mixing guys up. So if he can come in and get some type of touches from that slot, jet sweep type offense, read option, quick slant, bubble screen, we could see guys like Haynes and Miller and Young next year even get touches. So I'm
Mhm.
excited, man.
I am
But
too. Lorraine, no, no, not Byron Young to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Ravens flock. I want Byron Young headed to the Ravens. We need some help on that defensive line, and he'd be a perfect fit there. Sorry. But listen, one of the things I do have to address, kind of as a highlight, something we hadn't been able to do all season, we limited penalties. We only had 5 penalties yesterday. We came,
5,
we came in averaging 7 to 10 penalties, 10
7.6.
penalties, yeah, per game, and allowing 71 yards per game in terms of penalties. We squashed all that, and I felt like that was something that was very pivotal in terms of winning going into the game. We had to be fundamentally sound and disciplined. We did do that. So, with
Hey,
the
that officiating crew let our DBs play this game too.
that's oh gosh, man, thank you for pointing that out. It's amazing when we don't have SEC officials calling
It it it
shots.
was a totally different game because Kool-Aid, it was one play. I didn't think it was pass interference, but I was expecting them to call it
We were
because of
gun
how
shy
physical
because of
he
the
was.
SEC.
Right. And I'm like, man, that's great defense because you see the wide receiver at full arms fully extended. Kool-Aid's literally grabbing this man's hands to push him off. And when they push off of each other, Kool-Aid was already tracking the ball. Him and Ricks did a great job tracking the ball in the air on the times that they got tested. And closing out on the ball on the short passes, even from DeMarco Hellams. That was a great thing to see from him. So I think officiating played a big part in those guys' confidence too, because they established it early that they were gonna let them boys play, and they kept consistent with the calling. They missed a lot of holding calls inside on the interior, but I even like that because it made guys really play. It made guys really play. You saw early flopping, and then after after that big Deuce Vaughn drive, we ain't see no more flopping from our guys. We saw guys ripping through holes. You know, face hands to the face was a good call. That we had hands to the face, and it was deserved because he was being held. That's what D linemen do when they being held. They usually trying to get your helmet off your head. So
Yeah. Hey, but listen, it was great seeing those guys, like you said, being allowed to play, being allowed to be physical and actually play football. Kool-Aid was with the biggest recipient of having referees that actually knew what they were doing and not ruining games. Like the SEC referees who were presiding over the TCU Michigan game yesterday. There's a lot of things that went wrong yesterday that affected the outcome of the game, but we're not going to talk about that. Question here from Whitwell Sports. Title towel up, guys. Who carries
sir,
the ball next season? 1, 2, 3. For me, number 1, Jace McClellan. Number 2 is going to be Jahmyr Miller. 3, Roydell. Coach, answer this question here.
1A Jace, 1B Miller, 2 I think Justice Haynes come in and make some noise, and Roydell is going to be our solid third, but he won't get Trey Sanders treatment. He won't get Trey Sanders treatment. Roydell would not get Trey Sanders treatment. I think Roydell has established himself as our power runner for the time being. And yeah, I like to be different. I'm not gonna go. I think I'm telling y'all guys, if you haven't seen Justice Haynes run
It's
in live
nice.
gameplay,
It's
if you
nice.
if you have not seen this kid run, the amount of power he runs with, the amount of vision he has, his back cut ability. He If he was on campus this year, he would be getting Miller's touches. He probably would be getting touches um over Roydell because he's that good, guys. And I'm not taking anything away from any back in the room right now.
Right.
But Justice Haynes is that dude, and Richard Young, I think his learning curve and what's gonna allow him to grow is the fact that he has so much in front of him for the learning part of the game. But even his physicality and his natural raw talent coming out of the backfield, it's different. And you kind of have two of the same backs in him and Haynes. I think Haynes' head is a little bit further than Young, and his just the amount of diversity he brings out of the backfield gets him on the field early next year, pending, barring all injuries and small mistakes and stuff like that. But I see that being my three.
Mm. Big shout out to 6-0 Toa Toa, the forward tackler for 5+ yards to Lingerie League. Roll Tide has been a real good show. Justin and Coach Smook, thank you so much for that. We greatly appreciate that. You guys have really fueled us this year. We've really enjoyed it. And this is
Right.
something we didn't really plan. It just happened. And hey, it's
Out
turned
of
out to
nowhere.
be one of the best shows on YouTube and period. We got some big things coming, so this isn't the end of it. Just
Hey,
because the
this
season's
this
over.
guy Devontae Lee, bro. This Georgia fan, you got to be a Georgia fan.
He is, and I've been ignoring him the entire time.
He's got to be a Georgia fan. Let me tell you, Devontae, you guys, your secondary got exposed once again, and the only reason Georgia is celebrating going to the national championship is because Marvin Harrison went down. This is the second year in a row one guy was literally beating your squad on a neutral field. Anytime Georgia plays on a neutral field against a good quarterback that has at least one receiver, it don't even take a lot. All they need is one. With a good quarterback and a decent O-line, Ohio State did not rely on their run game at all. They didn't rely on their run game at all. And
Well,
they
they didn't
shredded
have it.
your secondary all day. Alabama, Georgia didn't want to see that. Georgia knew if Alabama was able to get in, and that would have been a week one. I mean, the first round matchup, we got them off rip because the secondary cannot cover, and then the D line couldn't even get enough pressure on. And I know, to me personally, I ain't being a homer. Our offensive line is more capable and a lot more efficient than Ohio State offensive line. And we actually have a run game when we use it. So, you get Saban up for a playoff game. We would have seen run game. We would have forced y'all to go ahead and walk a safety down and try to play that man on the outside with Lassitier and Ringo on the perimeter. Especially, man, I put any receiver that left, any receiver that's currently at Bama against any DB, any corner, any safety in the Georgia secondary right now, top to bottom.
Speaking of the exposure and how Georgia seems to find wins in big games, did you happen to catch Jermaine Funny Man Johnson's take on that
Yeah.
today? If you haven't watched
Yeah.
it yet, folks, go check out Funny Man's new video. It'd be worth your while. But great point. Last year, and I'm not trying to be a homer. I'm not trying to be one of those guys who makes excuses and deemed as crying, roll tears, or whatever it is you people like to use. The fact remains, last year we were without John Mechie, we're without Jamison Williams. Georgia was able to win minus those elite receivers. Ohio State yesterday, we're missing its top 3 players, elite NFL bound players, in Jigba, Marvin Harrison Jr., Travion Henderson, and they lost their tight end, but they still were taking it to Georgia. And yes, so I'm not going to get
And
into all
literally,
that.
okay, this man, one of the best kickers in the nation, blew. It wasn't. I don't think it was a hard kick. I think the moment was just too big. He pissed down his leg. He's not an athlete.
Like Coach
You know what
30.
I'm saying? Coach 30. But for real, man, hey, it was one of those things where UGA, congrats, y'all in there. I'm not hating.
Congratulations.
But don't
SEC.
talk as if y'all dominated. Like, y'all didn't dominate. Y'all came. I seen so many Georgia fans talking about what Bama was struggling with Kansas State, not Bama struggling with Big 12, not this, that, and the third. And I'm like, man, y'all need to be worried about Ohio State because they not no slouches. One bad game against Michigan, and all of a sudden they don't deserve to be in. I think this, and my Bama family, y'all might hate me. This is the best playoffs we done seen in probably the whole time we've had playoffs.
Absolutely.
I mean, matchups across the board. I saw how they could become good games if everybody came out and played their best, and it played out just like I didn't have Ohio State beating Georgia, and I didn't have them pushing Georgia that far, but I knew that they would be able to compete early on, and I didn't to see them go down and lose it like they did because of injuries. Georgia, y'all shouldn't be bragging too much, man. And TCU not going to be scared to put the ball in the air either. So they actually run a more efficient pass game than Ohio State, you know. But can you get Duggan to show up like Stroud did? You know, that's all you need.
Yeah,
Opposed
yeah,
quarterback.
and Georgia fans, don't make me regret cheering for SEC teams when we're not in. Please don't do that.
Mm,
Please stop where you're at. But as far as what happened yesterday, and this is a Bama show, so I'm gonna keep this short, and then we're gonna get to our MVPs. LSU laid out the blueprint in the SEC championship game. Did LSU win? No, but they put up hella offense against those Georgia DBs. I believe the backup quarterback, let me clarify, backup quarterback for LSU threw for somewhere in the neighborhood of 500 yards.
mm.
That told me that Georgia was vulnerable. They didn't really play against anybody that pressed them this entire year. Yes, they were able to shut down Tennessee, which apparently was an anomaly, but going against elite passers like a CJ Stroud and even a backup quarterback at LSU, they weren't able to answer the bell. But
The difference was if Bama plays Tennessee in T Town, it's a different outcome. If Georgia plays Tennessee in Tennessee in Knoxville, it might not be a different outcome, but that's a different game. Things go a lot differently when you go to Rocky Top, and it showed against us. They had to beat us in the last second. It wasn't like they dominated us. Yeah, they got a whole bunch of BS leaks with that wide receiver, man. The bad coach in that game, but they literally had to do that. They did all that and still only beat us by 3. You
yeah,
know, so I mean, it's one of those things. Georgia, y'all just been fortunate, kind of like we were early when we were establishing our dominance. We were fortunate to really take advantage of being a disciplined team, and that's what happens with Georgia. They take advantage of being a disciplined team. They're talented, and they take advantage of being a disciplined team, and it always pans out for them. It always pans out. It kind of and it works like that when you have a strong, the trenches are strong. And
right.
Kirby Smart is sticking to that philosophy and is working for him. And I feel like that's where Bama's getting back to. Look at our offensive line recruits that we're bringing in, and the guys that left, with and the guys that started this last game. We got some prospects to look at over the next 4 to 5 years on that offensive line, man.
Right. Hey, listen, I want Georgia to win for the SEC Monday. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit here and disrespect Georgia for anything, you know. So don't make me regret it, guys. But anyway, it's time to kind
Mhm.
of start wrapping things up. Let's talk about MVPs, coach. I don't know. Should we really name one for yesterday or should we kind of give our end of the season MVPs?
Let's just do yesterday because we're going. The people gonna want to see us next week after the
We're going to
in
give out our
between.
awards.
Yeah. We should do that next week.
Okay. So tune in next week, guys, for the awards.
Yeah,
And what I want you to do is uh, be a part of this. This is
yeah.
interactive. So the Bama Standard at gmail.com. If you would, guys, send us your votes for the MVPs, and whoever leads the fan votes, that's who is going to receive the award. So again, the Bama Standard at gmail.com. As soon as
Mm,
this thing is over tonight, I want you to give us your MVPs. Give us also your most improved player. That's right,
mm.
most improved player. Hey, while you're still here, and I see there's 215 of you live right now, hit the like button. Also, hit
Yes,
that
sir.
subscribe button if you've not yet done so. Listen, guys, we're well over 3,000 subscribers, and you've helped us reach that pinnacle in a very short amount of time. Couldn't have done it without you. Thank you so much for what you do, but just keep it going. We got to catch up with some other folks. But Coach Smoot, yesterday, we played a game. We
Mm.
dominated. We played like Bama. The Bama standard was back. 45-20. Go ahead and give me your offensive and defensive MVPs.
All right, I'm gonna start on the defense. I'm gonna go with Brian Branch on the defense. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean just the obvious decision. The guy just he played lights out yesterday on each level. He played in the run game, the pass game. I mean everything. Brian Branch was everything yesterday. And my offensive MVP it's kind of cliche, but I'm gonna go with Bryce, man. He played his tail off yesterday, and he played with, you know, a different level of intensity
Yeah.
from the quarterback spot. Like yesterday, we've seen Bryce locked in before. The Bryce that we seen yesterday looks like the first game starter Bryce from last year. He
Yeah.
came in with that level of focus. Like he did not want to make a mistake. He did not want to, do too much. He even the sack when he got up immediately and was like, "My bad, that's on me." Like it felt good to see him being the energy on the sideline. Um, and just the way he was throwing receivers open. And I saw some comments, agreeing with me earlier. Like Bryce hindered himself a lot, and I think it was a trust issue early on with having a new group of receivers. But he let it go yesterday, and I was excited to see it, especially for a guy like Ja'Cory Brooks, who I believe can be a lot more consistent. He's been the go-to guy. He can be your possession receiver. Um, even had Jermaine Burton looking good with free releases. Like the style of offense that was ran yesterday, if we can get that on a consistent level, we're gonna be nasty next year. But yesterday's
Yeah.
offensive MVP Bryce and defensive Brian Branch.
Love it. Stephen Hicks, I love this comment right here. Bama not coming back. We're already here.
Why do
Roll
people keep
damn
saying
tide.
that? I'm sorry, Justin. You know I have one of these once a week. Bama
Well,
has
oh,
not
is it time for the
left.
rant? Is it time rant time?
Just one, please. I've been being good. It's
You've been
2023.
being good. Hey, start the year off with one of those famous Coach Smook rants before we
All right,
close out.
man.
Before I give you
Listen.
my MVPs.
Okay. Listen. Bama has never left. We were just in the college football playoffs 2021. We were just in the college football playoffs. We were playing for a national championship last year. We missed the college football playoff by two last second losses. Two last second losses by a total of 4 points in hostile territory. And one of probably the strongest schedules we've had in probably the past 3 or 4 years. And we handled it with a subpar offensive coordinator, a mediocre defensive coordinator who failed to make adjustments. I mean, another year with a lot of talent that just didn't buy in early, and it showed on the field. And we still were in the playoff talk. So Bama never left. We're still being talked about in the playoffs, and we're not even playing. Our game was over with at noon. Our game was over at 4 o'clock. But they're
Mm-hmm.
talking about us in the playoffs, in the playoff games, in the semifinal games. Bama has never left, and we're not leaving. With this 2023 class, we just guaranteed ourselves more relevancy for the next 2 years, for a minimum of 2 years. So for all you haters out there that don't believe it and don't want to accept it, yes, Georgia's on the rise. Yes, Georgia's on the rise. Yes, Clemson is still recruiting heavy. Yes, Ohio State has talent, but keep don't forget that Bama set this standard. Bama created this wave. Coach Saban created this wave. This whole wave of dynasty. You know, Coach Saban is the definition of dynasty now. When you think about college football dynasty, you think about Alabama football and Coach Saban. You don't have Ohio State winning 3 out of 5. You don't have Georgia winning 3 out of 5. You don't have Clemson winning 3 out of 5. Like, come on, y'all. Stop doing that to us. We here. We're gonna be here for at least another 10. At least another 10. And when we do go through our transition stage of being down, I'll be here to still be talking that same noise.
Absolutely. It's funny you go on your rant
That boy said
because
Miami. Boy, stop.
you go on your rant because yesterday, one of the brilliant talking pieces from our announcers yesterday, I don't know where they found these guys. Hey, listen, if you're going to put us at 11 a.m., at least go find the old Jefferson Pilot crew. At least those guys were somewhat, knowledgeable
Yeah.
and fun to listen to. But they posed the question that if Georgia goes back to back that this year, does that unseat Alabama and Nick Saban's dynasty? No, what kind of, even if they do it, the thing is, you have to establish a decade of dominance like Nick Saban has in order to be unseated, if you want to call it that. But one of the points that I want to bring up, Coach Smook, you kind of alluded to it, was Georgia won the national championship last year. Let's look at the 2023 class.
Mm.
Number one class is Alabama. They're going to Bama, not to Georgia that just won the title. And here's something Georgia fans you need to understand, or at least the ones here who are talking smack, and everybody else in the country that is claiming the death of the dynasty. A lot of those players in this class came from where? Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
So there. Now listen, y'all got me off track, but you're still here. We
I, I
appreciate you.
I get so tired of it. I get tired of it, Justin, because it's like,
It's
and it's people
clickbait.
who
It's delusional nonsense drummed up by fans who are trying to will the end of a dynasty, along with analysts who are trying to will the end of the dynasty because they're tired of greatness. But
I could understand it. Like, if Georgia wins, put them in the conversation. Put Kirby Smart in the conversation. He deserves it. Same way they did Dabo. Once Dabo won the second one, he was in the conversation. And then let's see what happens 2-3 years after that. You see what's happening with Dabo? Nobody's talking about Clemson right now. Like, everybody was saying Clemson is on the rise. Who's going to? Is Sweeney to unseat Saban? Like, Saban is about to retire at the top. When Saban retires, it's going to be fair game. It's not going to be a clear cut next GOAT. You know what I'm saying? It won't be one because it's so much spread out talent. Saban set this tone, man. And the guy for Devontae that said it was Miami, and bruh, who was Miami's coach when they were dominant? You tell me. You type it in the chat. You tell me. If you can tell me who was without Googling, and I'm gonna give you 20 seconds from the time I released this statement to type it in there.
I can roll off 3 of those coaches right off the bat. That
exactly, but I guarantee he don't know him. He don't know him. Talking about Miami. Bama did this, man. We did this.
Kenneth Cannon, I'm telling y'all, it's Feinbaum pushing the narrative. No, Paul Feinbaum, what a lot of people need to understand this is what they call in the old days a shock jock. He just throws things out there to create controversy, and controversy creates callers into his show. He doesn't necessarily believe what he says. He's just doing what is necessary to stir everybody up. He does have a great analytical mind. I do give him that, but a lot of what he says, take with a grain of salt.
Yeah, right.
My MVPs, good grief, y'all got me going off of. Y'all don't help him in the chat.
They helped me out, man. Look,
I'll even go to since y'all are helping. I'm gonna go back to the '80s. The whole thing in the Miami started with Howard Schnellenberger, and then
that's before
Jimmy
my
Johnson,
time,
and then Dennis Erickson. But Alabama put a stop to it.
Erickson was the one that really I can't say like recruiting. I think Erickson was the one that really kind of started setting the blueprint for recruiting. Getting guys to really just be like awed by what your program can offer. Like that's why I remember Dennis Erickson for, and how guys were committed to it. But go ahead, man. MVPs.
Yeah,
don't get sidetracked again.
Dennis Erickson is responsible for bringing in Warren Sapp, and Ray Lewis, and the people's champ, The Rock.
Right.
My MVPs. Don't y'all get me started. Live chat. Let me do my thing here. Defensive MVP, without a question, was Brian Branch. The guy made money, had himself a day. Like I said, it was like watching a pro day.
Yeah.
Can't write a better ending to his career if indeed he decides to go to the NFL. Yes, it is cliche in the offensive side of the ball to name Bryce Young, so I'm going to have a 1A, 1B. Bryce Young had himself a day, 15 of 21, 321 yards, 5 touchdowns, passed A.J. McCarron, second all-time with 80 touchdowns for his career. Not only
2 years
that,
as a starter, bro, that's crazy.
2 years as a starter, but not only that, he passed Tua Tagovailoa with most 5 touchdown games. So he showed out yesterday. My 1B was Jahmyr Gibbs, 15 carries, 76 yards, 2 receptions, 66 yards. Very pivotal yesterday. He's a guy that really sparked Alabama's waking up moments and kept things going. And he sparked everybody else. So his contribution yesterday, along with Bryce's, was so instrumental in our victory. But I'm going to I'm going to give an honorable mention And that's just somebody that we're going to greatly miss, and that's our kicker, Will Reichard.
Yeah, man.
Ends his career nailing a 49-yard field goal. He's headed to the NFL, but guys, give the man props. He's kind of the unsung hero. He's clearly the greatest Alabama kicker we've had since Michael Proctor and Van Tiffen. Going to be missed. Of course, we got a guy coming in next year, Connor Talty, who looks like he may be following the same footsteps, but give
Hey,
the man props.
if this Taft guy can
Connor
be
Talty.
anything, if he could be anything like Tiffin, because that's who he reminds me of with that in like he has a swag, man. Like, bro, just put me out there. I'm ready to kick whenever. Like Will Rock is the rock star style kicker. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think people realize how feisty Will Riker is, man. Like the boy he like to tackle on the kickoff. Like the boy's crazy.
Oh,
We
yeah.
going Taft seems like he looks like a prep kid. You know what I'm saying? Like he looks like he's ready to just
He'll get in the
handle
weight
business.
room.
You know what I'm saying?
He'll change. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But he looks like he's ready to just handle business, man. Like he knows what he's capable of. He doesn't seem nervous. Like when I watched the interview on him, the kid was just like, yeah, I'm just ready to kick the ball, do what I can to be part of this great lineage of kickers, and it was good, man. So I'm excited about seeing him, but Real Riker definitely will be missed.
Absolutely. But the word missed is never going to be associated with his foot.
Hey,
But yeah, shout out to that guy. Tremendous praise.
he
And
says Kendrick Law, a wide receiver or linebacker. The way he liked to block, you might think he a fullback. The that boy is physical. Marquise Mays 2.0 and Kendrick Law, I'm telling y'all.
mm-hmm. Coach, it's time to kind of wind things down before we kind of give business for the Bama Standard this week. I'll turn it over to you to tell folks what you got going on, what you got coming up, how folks can find you, and all that good stuff. So take it away, sir.
Yeah, man. Hey, appreciate you for having me once again, bro. It's been a crazy season, but definitely gonna keep up the content. Be looking out for the reaction videos. I think I'm gonna start off with game one this week. Nah, I'm gonna wait till after the national championship to start putting those out. We're gonna do reaction videos, just kind of like film study. Start getting guys on to talk about the game with me. We have another creator on YouTube, Wheels. He does these video edits. And if you want to catch like short versions of the game, you could check him out on YouTube. I'll be reacting to his videos. I was able to get in contact with him. So does good content, man. So definitely gonna have Justin on one day with me. Do some reactions, get this squad lit up. So check me out on YouTube at Coach Smoot. You can also find me on Facebook at Coach Smoot. That same content will be posted on my Facebook page. And then also my TikTok at Coach Smoot. We're gonna get 2023 is gonna be a funny year for us, man. We transitioned to Virginia I moved from Alabama up here to Virginia. And we're getting our feet settled here. We're getting grounded and things about to start moving. So definitely support the content and continue to support the Bama Standard and all the affiliates, man. We got so much going on this channel. Definitely be on the lookout for it. But that's how y'all can find me at Coach Smoot on all platforms. And y'all about to see the content start picking up a lot. Appreciate you, Justin.
Yes, sir. Man, it's a blessing to have you here. And folks, in terms of our content, like I said, we are approaching the off season. We do new things to talk about. If you want guests, tell us who you want to guest. Which former Bama player do you want to hear stories from? I want you to send all you want to hear and see to the Bama Standard at gmail.com. And for this upcoming Sunday, here's your homework. Give us the winners of your awards, the MVPs of the season, the most improved player, all that good stuff. I fully expect the inbox to be flooded. So that
Yeah.
is your homework, folks. As far as the Bama Standard goes, yeah, we're going to be doing our thing every Sunday night here, Coach Smook and I, at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. Tuesday on Touchdown Alabama Magazine's YouTube channel, the Bama Standard Live with me, Marvin Constant, Bo Scarborough, Steve Brown, and Stephen M. Smith is going to be on air. We are going to have Nick Gentry return. If you were able to see several weeks ago when Nick Gentry was on with us. You found out that he was a very passionate guy, a guy who is anxious for the standard to return. Well, he's going to be back by popular demand. A 2011 national championship defensive lineman. Then Tuesday night, right after that, right here at 8 p.m. Central, the final whistle with Matt Caddell and Chris James. Going to be talking Sugar Bowl, going to be talking Bama basketball, a lot of different things. Wednesday night, Bo Scarborough Show, the developmental focus points, 7:30 p.m. Central, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Tune into that. Bo Scarborough with his co-hosts. Great co-host, Trent Richardson, Blake Sims, Christian Jones. He has two guests. They're going to be on with him. One of the most popular trainers of athletes, Johnny Jackson, will be on. Also, former Alabama running back, Terry Grant. You may remember him from the Sheila era and the first year of the Saban era. First year, Saban era. If you don't remember him, definitely go check him out. His highlights, the guy was a burner, but very, very interesting story. He's going to be giving you a side of football that a lot of people don't talk enough about. The real adversity when the final whistle has blowed. So check out all this great content we have going on. Hit that like and subscribe button. Happy New Year to everybody. Roll Tide, Coach Smoot. Roll Tide to our wonderful audience. That'll do it for us.
Hey, y'all take it easy, man. Roll Tide. See y'all next week.
Yes, sir. And email us